We studied a remarkable sample of 182 patients with focal brain injuries in an effort to map the architecture of intelligence in the brain. We found, as other studies have suggested, that intelligence depends on a broadly distributed network, primarily within the left hemisphere. Damage to specific areas within frontal, temporal, and parietal cortex systematically impaired aspects of intelligence. We also investigated whether specific patterns of brain damage was associated with impairments in particular aspects of intelligence. We did this by administering tests of visual, motor, spatial, and verbal reasoning. We compared patients' performance on these measures to the brain regions affected by their injuries. We found that performance on tests of visual and motor processing depended upon brain regions within the left frontal, temporal, and parietal cortex. Although general intelligence depended primarily upon the left hemisphere, we also found that there were areas within the right hemisphere that were engaged. Specifically, we found that for a test of visual and spatial reasoning, that an area within the right superior parietal cortex was activated. Patients were impaired on verbal comprehension when brain regions within the left frontal and temporal cortex were damaged. We saw that performance on a measure of working memory, which is the ability to briefly hold information in mind, depended upon brain regions within the left frontal, temporal, and parietal cortex. We also investigated whether specific patterns of brain damage were associated with impairments in the ability to regulate and control behavior. These abilities are important for planning and problem solving and are often called executive functions. We found that impairment in executive functions was associated with damage to regions within the left frontal and parietal cortex. Finally, we explored the relationship between intelligence and executive function and found evidence that these processes depend on common and distinctive brain regions. The regions of the brain that are important to executive function are shown in yellow. Those regions vital to intelligence are in orange, and those brain structures essential to both intelligence and executive function are in red.